or you can have people who help out in your business and the relationship's different. For instance, a photographer and model, when I decided to start the podcast, I wanted not just the photographer's perspective, but I wanted the model's perspective. So I went looking through my models and brought Shauna on as my co-host, and she was my co-host for a while. And then the things I hated doing about the podcast were setting up the interviews and doing all the show notes stuff afterwards. And so I was like, well, would you like to be the producer of the show as well as be a host? So in a sense, Shauna and I work a lot on the site, and the podcast itself is definitely something that we both equally do. As far as work goes, she does more work on it than I do. But in a sense, we're not business partners in that. The whole business part of it is still mine.
Right.
So there are ways to work with other people without them being your partner. And a lot of times when you have the skills you learn in the academy and from listening to this podcast, it's easier to get people to come on as something other than full-blown partners.
And that's another huge lesson right there. I mean, you're right. That's very cool it sounds like you've done that with the photography thing. You've done that with the EMT thing, where it's like, you know what, I'm going to bring in other people. And we'll talk about this more later in the podcast too, how you've kind of set up some systems and automated a few things, brought people in to do some different things. But bringing, going out and finding an expert to work with. I mean, in the academy or listening to this podcast, you get empowered with the kind of marketing education that it's actually pretty hard to find even in any MBA school out there. In fact, I think you'd be hard pressed to find an MBA that would teach you this kind of stuff. And, it's like once you know how to do those things, it's like black magic voodoo to somebody who's got great content, but they have no idea how to get it online and reach an audience. And so you show up and they're like, hallelujah, make it happen. Show me how. I mean, like you went to the guy who's got this awesome following through his blog, but he's like, podcast, I don't even know how to start. And it seems like the biggest deal to all of a sudden be in iTunes. But, to you could do it, like you said, in the weekend. But to him, he's like, I don't even know step one. And so, that's another powerful position that you can leverage into some great business ideas with the education that you get here. So I like that as well. So we're going to go more into depth in some of these cool things that you've done in the second half of the interview, the extended version that the Academy members will be able to find. We've already got some great tidbits out of you here. Let's go ahead and finish off with maybe one or two of your biggest tips that you would give to somebody who's listening to this and they're just starting out thinking, I want to give this a stab to start an internet business. What are one or two of the things that you've learned that would be the most important to share with them?
Well, of course, the number one thing is to just do it. Don't spend too much time thinking about how to do it. I mean, if you think of the whole setting up a website, setting up your email list, all that stuff as kind of almost practice on the first one, then you don't have to spend too much time. You can go down your niche list and you say, that one looks interesting. I'm going to do that one. And even if that one doesn't take off, you're going to have learned everything you need to learn to do the next one. I think that's something that obviously is my experience big time.
Right.
Beautiful.
I think that's some of the wisest counsel you can give anybody starting out. So I really like that one. What's your next one?
Don't expect it to happen overnight. I think you mentioned this in the traffic attraction formula videos that people are like, I need to make $50,000 in a month, and that ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight. Look at it as a long-term kind of thing, and that you're going to learn as you go.
The first tip you gave, I just gave that exact thing again. I was down in San Diego for a little seminar and met an Academy member, and we went to dinner and we were talking, and he was like, okay, so any final tips? And I was like, that same thing. It's like, well, first, you got to just take action. For some reason, people just overlook that part. And then my other one was keep going until it works for you. You got to not quit. So, adding those to yours, that was the first thing I had said too, is it seems simple to say, but take action.
Right. That's the ultimate lesson from both those things that Ron said. It's like, look, this is a powerful way to start a business because you can get started quickly and you can get started for very little money. Now, we're not saying you're going to make $50,000 today or even this week or this month, but if you do get started now, you are going to find the right opportunities for you, and things are going to start coming together, and you will make money online. But that's all the reason why you just got to get going. Get going now. Really is what it comes down to. All right, thanks for those great insights, Ron. Let's go ahead and tell everybody who's listening to the podcast here how they can find you online if they want to check into some of the things that you've been up to lately.
Okay, well, the main site is photographerandmodel.com, and that includes 3 different parts, really. One is the blog, one is the podcast, and one is what I call the Academy. And the Academy's kind of on hold right now, but the other 2 are great information on learning how to photograph models. So.
Very cool. And like we said, we're going to be continuing this conversation in the extended version that you'll be able to find in the Academy. If you'd like to try your risk-free trial to the Academy, you can find that at freeaudiogift.com. We're going to dig in a little more about how he's worked with, kind of automated work, set up teams, set up partnerships and things to keep his businesses going even when he got busy with other things. And that will be available for Academy members in the Academy. So thanks for joining us on the show, Ron.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. I'm glad we finally were able to do it.
That's right. All right, we got a couple comments and breakthroughs to share with you. First one comes from Kevin Matthews. This was a comment that he left on episode number 96, which was all about answering questions about the traffic attraction strategy that we had gone over in the show. He says, "Hi guys. Well, I just wanted to say thanks once again for the inspirational and educational content. Directly because of you both, we have now 6 episodes of our podcast live on iTunes. Yep, still making mistakes, but learning all the time. Your constant message of taking action just keeps coming back to me each time I think I'm reaching a brick wall. Thanks again for an education." Thank you, Kevin, for being out there and getting it done. That's the way to do it.